fam? What's poppin'? How y'all been? Let me know in the comments below. Today I got Sarah with me. It's been a minute since she been on the channel and stuff like that, but today we finna be reacting to this video called They Clone Tyrone Tried to Warn You, and it's by this channel called Black Culture Unlocked. So yeah, this is what we're gonna be reacting to. If y'all like this type of content, as always, let us know in the comments, like the video and all that type of stuff. Anything you got to say?
Nah, let's just get started.
Alright, bet. Let's do it.
They Clone Tyrone is a movie every black person needs to see. Why? Because this movie is about you and what they are doing to us as a community. We are the clones. They put these movies in our faces for a reason. It's time we wake up and see the signs. Let's break down this movie together and find some of the hidden truths they revealed to us. The story revolves around three characters. We got Slick, Fontaine, and Yo-Yo, who just happens to uncover a nefarious government scheme. The movie starts off with a regular day in the life of Fontaine. He's a typical drug dealer in the hood. He spots a rival gang member selling work on his block and runs him over. This decision will come back to haunt him later on. After he goes to the local food mart to play the lottery, he loses, of course. The lottery is one of the biggest scams, yet people still buy it religiously. Right after, a homeless man said,
I hear that a lot. And you know what's funny about the lottery? I don't mean to be putting like my family out there, but my great grandpa, he used to play the lottery a lot, and that really affected his health because he wanted to win the lottery so bad. And he was so hypnotized by the chances that he could win the Powerball and win a couple million. You know what I'm saying? That held him back in a lot of different ventures that he was going to do in his life, and it also became like a habit that became like an addiction over time. So I can see that a lot of time.
I do gotta say, like, it's like penny pinching. It's like it's small buys for like potentially a greater win, and like it's like the concept of free money. Like, I think money goes where it like wants to flow, or where it doesn't go where it's needed. It goes where it's being used the most, where it's wanted the most. So it's like the concept of free money is it's a really bad thing to get inside of the
I see what
human
you're saying.
mind.
Are you kind of saying that like you gotta attract those things by projecting it first to even have
Yeah,
it come into your universe in the first place? So it's kind of like you can't cheat the universe
yeah,
with how you are attracting things into your life. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
If you not attracting that type of wealth energy through the energetic field, you're not gonna get it in the physical reality.
yeah.
Let's
If,
go.
if you're living in lack, you're not gonna receive abundance.
Yeah.
"In the water, young blood." This was no ordinary homeless man. He knew something, the truth. We'll see him give hints of what's really going on throughout the film. Later that night, Fontaine is plotting his revenge on the other rival gang leader, Isaac, when he discovers he's short on money. Money that Slick owes him. Slick is a pimp and has plenty of women working for him. Yo-Yo is the number one. Fontaine finds his way to Slick and forces him to pay his dues. One thing I took from the film early on is that it suggests that in the hood, everything stays the same, and this is happening across different periods. So, the exact year, date, or place where the film takes place doesn't matter because it would all stay the same. Look at it this way. Although the film has this 90s or 70s vibe, it also happens in modern times. Characters are using smartphones and talking about blockchain
Yep.
and Barack Obama. But
That's
we
interesting.
also see characters using flip phones,
Actually.
wearing baggy clothes, and outdated decor. And all of that is there by design. It is meant to create a cognitive dissonance by confusing us about the exact time. The director improves the sci-fi storyline. That's because the government cloning conspiracy feels quite complex and manipulative, and this is something that could be pulled from various decades. After he gets the money he came for, he is cornered by Isaac and his mans, who shoots him on the spot.
That was a good scene.
This scene was like the best. Like, it really felt like he was dying.
It was authentic for sure.
Yeah, like I shouldn't really call it the best because it's fucked up. But
Fontaine dies, but somehow
Felt very
wakes up the
realistic.
next day. He has no wounds, no stitches, nothing. It's another typical day in his life. That's when Fontaine stumbles upon a black SUV. He sees a resident getting kidnapped in broad daylight. He then talks to Slick and Yo-Yo about it, and Slick's version of events leaves Fontaine speechless. At this point, Fontaine is going crazy. He honestly can't believe he died the following night. He has to get answers. Together, they track down the SUV and find a deserted house. Here, we see an elevator, and with everything that's been going on, they can't help but check it out. All three of them hopped in and took a ride down. Now, this is where things get really interesting. They arrive in a mysterious laboratory with Don't Stop Till You Get Enough by Michael Jackson playing in the background. As the doors open, they spot this white man with an afro. They immediately snatch him up and hold him hostage. While down there, they find a white powder that looks a lot like cocaine, but it isn't. Just powder that has them laughing uncontrollably. But before you know it, things go south, and they accidentally shoot their hostage. As they are leaving, Fontaine discovers something interesting, his dead body from the night before. I'm not gonna lie, the staff worker caught me off guard, but we later found out that this was all one big experiment to turn black people white, and the staff were the failed experiments because our hair was too stubborn. Hence, that's why he has white skin, but with black people's hair. But it makes me wonder, what really happened to Michael?
What does it take to be a Shenyun dancer?
Alright, hold up, y'all.
It takes a mind.
Jackson, and is this movie too stubborn?
Let's go back.
Hence, that's why he has white skin, but with black people's hair. But it makes me wonder, what really happened to Michael Jackson? And is this movie telling us something? Just think about it for a second. The very opening scene of the movie showed three black men arguing, one claiming to have seen Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, huh? Yeah, guess who I seen at the dollar store? Who? Tupac.
I'm dead ass serious, bro. Listen, man, the man working the day shift at the Piggly Wiggly over on MLK, man, on God.
Then, when the trio first discovers the laboratory, Michael Jackson's music is playing in the background. I think there is something there, but we'll save that for another video. After they escape, the trio goes to a local fast food joint and orders some chicken. They quickly discover that the chicken is not just delicious, it is also making people start laughing uncontrollably. That means that the chicken is drenched in that white powder they found in the lab. On top of that, it's being served by another white man with an afro, another failed experiment. It shows that everything is connected, and they are all working for them. This reminds me of that Popeye's fried chicken sandwich.
I want to say something about the chicken thing. With the chicken thing, it do sound fishy because like we done seen this on multiple different types of TV shows and stuff like that.
Like Boondocks.
Boondocks is the main one I remember it from, but it's another one that did it too. That
There's
was
a couple
talking about
of them.
chicken being toxic and stuff like that. But Boondocks was the main one that I seen, and then this is another one. So I mean, like it could be something up with chicken. I mean, thank God if you vegan, you know what I'm saying. If you not dealing with all that, or if you have better quality meats and stuff around you. Because chicken is shitty to eat anyways.
I do gotta say, like, there's a lot of, I would do your research as, obviously, but, like, there's a lot of correlations with HPV, sexually transmitted diseases, immune disorders with eating intense amounts of chicken and red meats and stuff. Obviously, look it up, but there's a reason why a lot of people that farm chickens don't even want to touch a chicken.
Facts.
You know?
Yeah, most chickens eat chicken shit and dead chickens itself. You know what I'm saying?
Feathers,
Craze from
dead
a few years back.
parts of the
Fistfights, car
chicken.
crashes, even a murder. Yeah, this is going to sound pretty ridiculous, but all of that is over a chicken sandwich.
Some people are losing their minds over the newest offering from Popeyes.
It had everyone going crazy wanting to try it. The thing is, it wasn't even that good. So why were people so hooked? They are clearly showing us that they are putting things in our food, but it goes much deeper than just our food. The water, the food, the drugs, juice, beauty products, and the music are all designed to keep us in a trance. The film focuses on the black community and how the stuff made in the lab keeps people in their simulation.
This is the construct. It's our loading program.
It appears that this government scheme is massive, worse than they could have possibly imagined. And it turns out there's an entirely different world under the Glen. One that's highly organized and extensive. The trio sees countless experiments that involve food, music, and lighting. All sorts of products people use in their daily lives. It is obvious, these are all hand-picked people from the Glen. The one that stuck with me was the scene with the music. At first, two men were fighting while some violent hip-hop music was playing in the background.
That stuck with me too.
Then they changed the music to some loving R&B music, and the two men started hugging. Don't let this go over our heads. This clearly shows that the music we listen to is destroying us,
I don't think
causing
they were
us to be
fucking
more
after that,
violent
though. I
and
think they
kill each
started
other.
fucking, didn't they?
For us to change,
hugged and then they kissed
then
eventually.
they changed the music to some loving R&B music, and the two men started hugging. Don't let this go over our heads. This clearly shows that the music we listen to is destroying us, causing us to be more violent and kill each other. For us,
No cap. Like, we can't explain this enough. The Lil Durks, the new little kid that I just seen, it's like this little ass boy that's rapping nowadays, and I just seen him in the club with Drake. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's a whole bunch of different toxic things that we got in the black community. But I will say rap is one of the worst ones, bro. Like rap is glorifying murder. You pretty much trashing women. You know what I'm saying? It's very immoral, and it's like this. It's this thing to where it's like cool to be evil, to be dark sided. You know what I'm saying? Because it's alluring. You know what I
Or
mean?
toxic, or like even the women rappers like nowadays.
Glorilla. Don't get me started on these new female, bro.
But also, like, I do gotta say, like, the origin of rap, the origin of music, poetry with a beat, like, that was speaking about your feelings, raw, real world human experiences.
Music
like,
was something that you was in the area of sensory for, so you was listening to yourself and how you felt. More so, music is now like, I want to have this image, I want everybody to look at me like this, so I'm gonna do this with my music. You know what I'm saying? So music has changed for a lot of people in the way it has been used, and it is
to
toxic in
change,
the community.
one of the first steps is changing what we listen to on a daily basis. Once the trio figures out the complete scope of the experiment, or at least it appears that way, they return to their everyday lives. But they are now convinced that their places in society are predetermined and controlled by some mysterious figures. They've been programmed to do things a certain way. This revelation weighs heavily on Fontaine. He thinks his role as a drug dealer is intended to ruin his hometown and flood it with violence and drugs.
I do gotta say, like, when you feel like you're like predestined to be like a piece of shit, or like somebody that's meant to like affect others in a certain way, like personally, like when I started like becoming a lot more aware of myself, a lot more questioning of my surroundings, I really did feel like some things were like predetermined for me, and I got a little frustrated, and like almost like a sense of like
It's like
injustice, you know?
Yeah, it's like a victim mentality
Yeah.
on the world, because you
Yeah.
feel like everything's being given to you and you have no control
Yeah.
over things, and that's like that elusive state that the bulk of us are running around in, and they
Yeah.
just saying like they showing that in here.
Yeah.
This creates the perfect scenario for the men in black to conduct their experiments of mind control without anyone getting in the way. Later, Fontaine sees Slick, who seems to have withdrawn emotionally. In the meantime, Yo-Yo has been battling the underground group. She is bent on exposing the whole thing in the papers, since she wants to be a journalist. Collecting and showing such evidence to the public could jumpstart her career. She collects the evidence, but before she can post it, she is kidnapped by the black SUV. Slick gets his charm back, and together with Fontaine, they look for Biddy. She is the local gossiper who knows anything and everything about anyone. She tells them that Yo-Yo was indeed kidnapped. This forces the two to team up with an unlikely ally, Isaac. But Isaac kills Fontaine again and gets cloned. The clone Fontaine wakes up and continues his life as he normally would, while the real Fontaine wakes up in a strange facility. It turns out that Isaac was on board with Fontaine and Slick's idea
Yeah, that
and
was
didn't
real
really
smart. I'm not gonna lie.
I didn't understand that part, because like, okay, so he wakes up like it's only if the clone is dead. Okay.
No, but he didn't die. He still didn't die. He really didn't die.
Yeah.
They just released him because they thought he died.
Yeah, so that's why I didn't understand how there could be two Fontaines at the time, but it was really because the second Fontaine didn't actually die. Like,
Yeah. Y'all,
the
we just
third
talking about stuff that actually we seen in the movie, because we already watched the movie and
Yeah.
shit. And go watch this movie on Netflix if y'all haven't seen it. What the fuck
I
are you doing?
enjoyed it a lot. Like,
Bill
it was
Fontaine.
goofy and
He just
and
created the
raw
perfect
and dark.
opportunity
It was
for
great.
Fontaine
It
to
was.
enter the control room. Once down there, we see scientists using perming cream on Yo-Yo's hair. It appears to be some kind of experiment. But when
I won't lie, bro. That's funny to me, just because perms actually destroy black people's hair. You know what I'm saying? You actually putting chemicals in your hair that's damaging the way that your hair is able to grow in the future. I don't even want to put this on there, but like one of my siblings, all the people in my hair, all the people in my family have really good hair, thick hair. You know what I'm saying? But like one of my specific siblings, one of my sisters, her hair was a little bit different because my mama was like perming the shit out of it for like when she was younger, and it's because my mama didn't know and she didn't have as much experience, and it was just done to her, so she was just like carrying down that process,
Yeah.
but that shit fucks your hair up. So don't perm your shit.
Also, I gotta say, hair is power. Hair is beauty.
So ether.
Yeah, you are connected with your locks, like you with the
It
hair.
don't
that
even
you
gotta
have
be
on your
locks
head.
though.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about like your hair locks in general, like
Oh
not
yeah,
just.
yeah.
But like when you perm your hair, you're changing it. Like you're changing its texture, you're changing its chemical makeup.
Yes,
like
yeah.
and you're rejecting a sense of self. Like I know that people love doing their hair and doing different hairstyles. Like I think it's beautiful. I think it's gorgeous. But when you go as far as to change something that is naturally of you, you're rejecting a certain aspect of yourself.
Yeah, we're trying. Yeah. It's a certain lack of acceptance in
And it's
some
all
type
for
of
a
area.
trend.
These people think that Yo-Yo has fallen unconscious. She gets up and takes off her wig and knocks them out. Meanwhile, Slick is ready for some action. He gathers the whole hood
Yeah, I
and
ain't gonna
decides
cap.
that Yo-Yo has
I'm not gonna cap. When she took the wig off, that's like the one time where weave would save a motherfucker life. You know what I'm saying?
I was so happy when she took that bitch
Yeah,
off.
that
I
was
was like,
that's
yes.
smart. That's smart. That's like an empowering
Man,
way
I love
of
the
using weave.
I love the Afro wigs. I mean, like I'm all for wigs, but like I personally wouldn't wear them. But like I think they're great. Like if you want a different hairstyle and you want to keep your natural hair, there you go.
I mean, yeah, it's the world. Do
fallen
whatever you want to.
unconscious. She gets up and takes off her wig and knocks them out. Meanwhile, Slick is ready for some action. He gathers the whole hood and decides to turn the tables and raid the underground lab.
Excuse me, kind sir, but if you could point me to the elevator that leads down to the Fiki laboratory.
That's when they come across a remarkable revelation. Countless clones of people they know, including themselves. Fontaine comes face to face with the mastermind behind the operation. Turns out to be an older version of Fontaine himself.
Let's just call it a marriage of convenience.
Hey, that was wild. That was wild.
When you try.
That was actually fire as fuck though, too. I like that.
I'm the lead geneticist of this operation. Why?
Now, here, we didn't get an exact reason as to why the villain did what he did. That's because the movie barely delves into the older Fontaine's backstory. So, it leaves little exploration of what led him down this path and why he conducted these experiments on his own community, even on clones of himself. We do know that he claims his motivations stemmed from the pain he endured when his younger brother was tragically killed. It turns out that the police indeed killed Fontaine's brother, but the actual incident was much more horrific than the memory he gave to his latest clone. This is, basically, his brief origin story. Because of this tragedy, he became a mad scientist. The actions of the older Fontaine span several generations. He has secretly attempted to dilute black ancestry, methodically isolating specific genes to create a predominantly white population. This unsettling revelation, exemplified by the lab tech and a few other white characters with black hair, echoes the disturbing historical reality of genocides that aim to eliminate the black community. For example, the North Carolina Eugenics Board once pursued a similar goal. They sought to eliminate African Americans through sterilization and selective breeding. For over 4 decades,
That's
It
crazy.
was the eugenics. It was the eugenics movement. I do got to do a little history thing real quick. They started off, okay, when they do a lot of these movements with like hidden agendas, they got way bigger plans than what you think. Like, so the eugenics movement, it started off with liberating women, saying, oh, we need to let women have a choice on whether or not they have a baby or not. Low key, they started putting a lot of these clinics in really low poverty areas with people who were illiterate, people who had children that had
More importantly, black neighborhoods.
Yes.
So like,
and with immigrants and stuff.
yeah,
It wasn't
immigrants
just
and
black people.
Like, what we gonna say black people, cause that's like the bulk of what was going on in America at the time. Like, odds are, if it were people that was in America that wasn't white, they was black more often than not at this time. You know?
And they didn't just abort babies; they sterilized women without their consent, without the proper equipment.
And also, so think about what they doing nowadays with like all the foods that we eat with like all the additives and all the artificial stuff. It's probably locking things within our DNA because we know that every set of genetics, like the Negrozoid, the Mongoloid, the Caucasoid, all of these different constructs of the human being have certain things that benefit them, like us being able to intake the sun better, and like more Caucasoid people being like giving cancer off the sun. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we got those unique things. So it's like they could have been taking things. They could be taking things right now and putting them into our stuff to where we don't even realize that we getting poisoned and certain parts of our unique faculties to our genetics are being dormant because of that.
I also think that like there's like I know we gotta feed massive amounts of people. Like when we have these industrial farms and these companies producing food and stuff. Like, but when you cut certain corners to make certain things happen to get certain quotas out, like you're gonna find that there's gonna be some things that aren't nutritional inside of some of these foods that we eat. That's why we have to be very careful about what kind of processed things that we consume and that we allow around us.
Okay.
Sterilized almost 7,600 people by force, most of whom were black. According to academic papers, this wasn't just a coincidence. It was designed to breed black residents out.
North Carolina moves toward compensating victims of a sterilization program that lasted more than 4 decades.
The film inadvertently touches on the dark and complex issue of racial self-hatred. It presents a black man as the apparent mastermind behind such a scheme, and instead of blaming the police for the
like that part right there alone, like it created like a villain origin story, because he's like, if only my brother was white. He was so stuck on the skin color and stuff.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Like, and they did this with Native Americans as well. Like when the generations that we see in today's age right now, they're just getting back on their feet, like loving their culture, supporting their culture.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big thing. I remember like at a point in time where like I went to a lot of schools with black people in it and stuff like that. But it was one point in time where I got taken out of those type of schools and I got put in schools where it was a lot of white people. Yeah. And you know what? Living in that environment, it did make you a little bit more uncomfortable with yourself, and it did make you a little bit more like self-conscious. You know what I'm saying? Because today's society, we focus so much on race, and that those differences grow within yourself, and then you start to become ashamed of certain things that you naturally do or naturally like. I remember people used to have contests in classes I used to be in about who was the darkest person. Whoever was the darkest person was the loser, and whoever was the lightest person was the winner. You know what I'm saying? So all those things, they get into our brains and start influencing our decisions, like this dude being hurt over the traumatic experience. Yeah, and like even when I was in Menominee, like I am light skinned as fuck, but when I was living up in the UP, like people loved pointing out how I was like one of the darkest people in the classroom, or they would ask me questions that like didn't even make any sense to the conversation. Yeah, you being the darkest person in the classroom is crazy. It's crazy. It's weird. But like, y'all, she got black in her. Like her pop's black. But if y'all don't know. It's not really about that, but it's really about the fact that so many people were so uncomfortable with themselves being around you that they had to let you know how uncomfortable they were with conversation and like the way that they conducted themselves around you. Yeah, facts.
Film inadvertently touches.
Or I'm gonna say this too, like when you used to be talking about slavery in class, and then everybody looking back at you like, "You good?" Like, bro, not really that you good, but they be like, "Damn!" Like, I got the most racist story ever. Okay, so like, we were in class and my teacher, we talk about slavery that week, right? Mm-hmm. Brody brings in cotton balls in the class. Everybody had to pick cotton, right? And we had to pick the seeds out of the cotton. And I was the first one done. It was so stupid. You crazy, sir. I mean, I didn't seen a lot of stuff like that, and that don't mean that it has to be specific. No, I was just good with my hands. But maybe like, they giving you a like, you know what I'm saying? But no, but people crack jokes after because I was like, shit. I tried to be. Our point is a lot of this stuff, it can make you have a lack of value within yourself because of the color of your skin and everything.
On the dark and complex issue of racial self-hatred, it presents a black man as the apparent mastermind behind such a scheme. And instead of blaming the police for the murder of his brother, he blames the skin for being black. But it doesn't delve deeper than that, it just leaves it to our imagination. Then we see that the young Fontaine has another trick up his sleeve. He uses the Olympia Black phrase, which triggers the guard clone to do whatever they say. He uses this opportunity to kill the old Fontaine and get away alive. This to me feels like the biggest plot hole to anyone who says the phrase.
Wait, what?
I wonder what the term Olympia Black meant in the movie, because
Yeah, I don't
there's
know.
like I feel like there's always like little hidden things. That's why I love movie breakdowns, because like I get to like see how much depth and thought that the screenwriter put into the movie.
I thought they was gonna break down more parts that I was specifically seeing and then having
Yeah.
ideas about in my head. That's why this video intrigued me so much. But
I think it was just putting out the blatant obvious.
they pointing out some obvious
Yeah.
things, and it's some pretty
Control the
powerful
clones.
things.
Why didn't it control young Fontaine as well? Is it that efficient in controlling an entire clone army? The point is, the trio saves the day and frees the clones. The news gets flooded with reports of naked people running across the street.
And what's amazing is just how quickly residents of the Glen have rallied for help. We've got folks out here giving out water, food, clothes off their own backs.
While it appears to be the end, it is not. In the last scene, we see a person who appears to be Fontaine going through his daily routine, much like what he did when the movie started.
This brings it full circle.
When the random black guy is later watching TV with some of his friends, and the naked clone story pops up, we see another clone that looks exactly like him. His friend looks at him and asks, "Ain't that you, Tyrone?" If this is not a cliffhanger, I don't know what is. This is where the movie finally ends. To me, the clones are a metaphor. They depict how white America tends to view black people and their culture. They accept them only if they conform to a whitewashed version of themselves, to be more appealing and acceptable to the dominant white society, so that they can get access to power, comfort, and money. Also, the clones symbolize how white people keep the power in balance by deliberate.
It's kind of like it's kind of like they saying that the people of America want us to play their game and don't want none of our essence inside of it. Like you gotta, if you want to be over here, you gotta be fully like us and let go of all of that past shit. You know what I'm saying?
I gotta say, no one can help where they come from.
Facts.
But I have met some people.
I mean, well, we don't know sacred contracts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Allegedly, we all agree to be in this life that we are in.
Yeah, that's true. But I do gotta say, like, I've met some people that completely rejected their sense of family and sense of self in order to achieve greater things in life. And who's to say that's the wrong way? I don't really think it is. But as long, like, if you're gonna, there's a saying that from a spiritual teacher that I really enjoyed. But it's like, if you can claim your sacred prostitute, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you
know what you're negotiating, if you know what you're giving away to attain.
Yes. But if you prostitute yourself for something, and I say this metaphorically, and in the literal sense as well. But
so say it in a more direct way. Mainly if you're giving yourself away for something that isn't truly worth it in your experience, then that's toxic, and you're gonna end up paying for it in a whole bunch of different negative ways.
Yeah, and it could be minute to grand scale, you know, like it could be emotional instability, it could be negative thoughts, it could be a number of things.
It could be a disease, it could be death, it could be you being broke as shit, it could be anything.
Subjecting specific black community so that they can get access to power, comfort, and money. Also, the clones symbolize how white people keep the power in balance by deliberately subjecting specific black communities to poverty and oppression. This movie had a brilliant ending. I like how it challenges us to think outside the box and what it could all mean. Among the clones, Fontaine represents the group designed to maintain the neighborhood in a bad state. He is there to make sure the authorities turn a blind eye to what's going on behind the scenes. On the other hand, there are other clones, like the light-skinned black individuals in that exact same neighborhood, who embodied the idea of assimilation. The thing is, I've seen a lot of movies that make black people appear hopeless or have little impact on the main story. Then, we also see this one black hero that defeats everyone. But we rarely see the people come together, where we all are heroes and we all are doing our part.
Yeah.
I think that this is an important message to take away from the movie as well. We are not supposed to feel weak or helpless. We are supposed to be out there coming together and fighting for what we believe in. The film takes place in a fictional neighborhood, but the problems people are facing there are far too real. This film led us with a lot to think about and ways to be interpreted. With that being said, let us know your interpretation and if there's anything we missed.
That was most definitely an interesting video, I say.
I appreciate him.
I really like that last part where he was talking about just us being together and stuff like that, because I didn't really look at it like that at first, but I'm glad that just said that, because now it made me look at it in a different way, to where like in terms of outcome, like instead of, like he said, instead of one person just being on top at the end, it's like they couldn't do it without each other. So the
Without the whole
message is for us to all come together, and that kind of intrinsically get into our brains, especially kids who watching this movie. Your subconscious is working with these different algorithms and these concepts, and you start to realize certain things off of them. You start to even build survival tactics off and instincts off of them. So when you have certain things like in these things that's teaching us that, I think that's super powerful. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I don't think it got as deep into like all the conspiracies and stuff that I was spotting out when I was watching the movie myself. That's what initially intrigued me about wanting to like react to this and whatever. But I did like the message a lot. What about you?
I really enjoyed it. I loved his take on it. I think there's like, okay, someone could watch this movie and they'd be like, this was a good ass movie, and not think anything about the historical references, the correlations in our society today, and what it is to really work as a unit. Like, I got so lit when I saw all these people fucking go and trash the lab. And they were just being destructive and fucking some people up, you know? But, like, they worked together. They put their heads together. They made a fucking plan, and they did that shit.
Yes.
It didn't matter how it was done, but it got done.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it kind of did matter how it got done. It was, but the whole point of it getting done is like together, the union, the community in it, like not trying to be so much just on your own tip all the time. You know what I'm saying? Or like, I don't know, like, well, I know, it's like when you walking down the street, like it's hard sometimes to walk down the street and see another black man, and then y'all can just like cheese at each other, or just be like, what up, and have like a mutual accordness. Instead, usually, because I live in the Detroit area, so it's like you get out here and it's like people want to look tough, or they want to defend themselves from people who out here trying to try people who don't look tough. So everybody got this defense on, and it's like this meme mug that everybody just walking past each other trying to look hard. You trying to look the hardest, you know what I'm saying? Trying to stare at the person in the eyes the longest. All these little minuscule things, instead of us coming together as a community and being more mature and shit. So this most definitely is like a transcendent type of lesson in the video for me.
I also got to point out the old homeless man. Like, he was dropping all the clues and shit in the movie.
Like, you already know the homeless dude in a movie like this is going to be dropping some bombs. You know what I'm saying? And that, like, do homeless people actually have some validity in real life? You know what I'm saying? Like, in terms of that?
That's what I was going to bring up. Like,
I don't want to say it like that either, because I feel like I'm generalizing all homeless people as one.
Yeah.
Like, it could be some homeless people out here that didn't have some crazy experiences and they know a little bit.
That's the thing. Okay, so like, that's the whole concept that I wanted to get at. So like, this old head was sitting there like all fucked up. Like, what information or sense of helplessness got him to that point to where he felt like he had no control and he was just existing. Like, he wasn't playing no part in the town's
You talking about the homeless guy?
Yeah, the homeless dude. He was sitting down, talking and speaking his riddles, but he wasn't playing a part in any of the society's boxes, you know, like keeping everything maintained, you know. There was some head honchos that were maintaining a lot of stuff, but what I'm getting at is like, how much did that weigh on him to the point where he ended up just becoming somebody that was just sitting there rambling and like a algorithm, a broken record? Like,
I don't know. I don't know, because like it's a movie, and you know what I'm saying. So I don't think the character can run that deep, but
not to say that him necessarily like he was overwhelmed with the information that he saw, but like, imagine being in his situation. He's keyed in on all these things, and not many people even know about it. Like, I've met some homeless people that felt like that, you know.
Yeah, well, first off, he probably got the idea of even being, you know what I'm saying. He probably even got the whole idea of being, of all of that stuff going on, from just having the time to sit there. You know what I'm saying? So all the time that he had to just sit there and just watch, that's where you get to build the data and stuff like that. So I do think you make a good point with that, like in the terms of like, he not in a traditional or orthodox type of position that this society would consider. You know what I'm saying? That's actually people that we look down on a lot of the time. But at the same time, he was able to benefit in a big way, you know what I'm saying, and give out some major clues and things like that. So, I mean, and then also, like, for me, the homeless guy wasn't that deep of a character into it, but
But he
I
was
do
definitely
like that,
dropping
yeah.
bombs. Like,
I mean,
okay,
yeah, he did drop some bombs.
Fontaine was cool with them. He was always giving them lit. And, like, he's like, clicking the fucking shit together. He's experiencing these things, and then he's like, damn, this correlates. Like, nothing is a coincidence. Everything is within its divine purpose. So, like, and it's not to say that, like, a homeless man on the street is about to give you, like, some ancient ass wisdom. I'm saying, like, in this sense, in the movie, like, it wasn't a coincidence that this guy kept on saying certain things and trying to let him know, like, information. I don't know.
But yeah, y'all, that's pretty much it. I enjoyed the video. Did you enjoy the video?
I did.
What do you give it? I give it, like, out of 5 stars, I'll give it a 4.
I give it 5. I mean, like, it was.
I give it a 4 mainly because I feel like it could have went a little bit deeper, but I feel like it was good. I feel like it really, really was good. It's always room for improvement, though.
Yeah, definitely. There's always room for improvement. I do think the video was great. It hit some basic structural things that could help somebody understand the movie deeper, think back on their own culture, their own sense of self, how it may correlate with them. I mean, like, I felt like I had a lot of correlations thinking about the chicken, thinking about society, thinking about the rap music, thinking about perms. Like, there's so many things that are in your life just, like, surrounding you. And like, and sometimes we can let some of these things go. Sometimes we forget about them. Sometimes we, like, kind of think back on them. You know, it's just food for thought. You know, and also a sense of awareness where you want to question things now. It makes you want to question stuff just a little bit more. You know.
Facts. But yeah, I mean, let us know how y'all like the video down below. Check out the Black Culture channel. I forgot what is the channel name.
It is Black Culture Unlocked.
Check out Black Culture Unlocked, because they got a whole bunch of different videos that's talking about things like this, and it's all relevant to, like, the black community if you're a black person that's out here looking for that type of stuff. And you know what I'm saying? Because we do got to get our work up out here and start coming together as a community. Last person that was holding us together was people like Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, Martin Luther King, and you've seen they got them the fuck out of here. But if we all just start becoming as revolutionary as them single people right there, there's no stopping us. You know what I'm saying? But beyond that, I love y'all. Remember what y'all projecting out here, because it's third dimension, so you ultimately gonna be experiencing it. And remember, keep taking care of yourselves. Love y'all. Shemema Tep.